Hey everyone, and welcome to the 613 Laws of God Countdown. I'm Brother James, and in this episode we'll be picking up the pace a bit as we got word from our sponsor, the Drunken Druid Pub, now offering pickup drive-through window, open 24 hours, bring your own containers. Our sponsor has suggested that at our current rate of 10 laws per episode and the rate at which our ministry can produce episodes, it would take 4 years to cover all the 613 laws. This is true, and after crunching a few numbers, we are going to try to get 20 laws or more in per episode, cutting the delivery time back to the expected 2 years. They were good with that. So here we go at a 21st century clip. Oh, and if you notice anything visually different, fees for the studio time at the Conroy Pitt Community Center Media Room include green screen resources, so I figured why not. Also, please remember to subscribe. We'll start off with a question from Brother Norbert. Just who the heck is Marmonades anyway? Great question, brother, and please say hello to the fellows over at the Academy of St. Christina the Astonishing.
50 crowns.
Moses Ben Maimon, commonly known as Maimonides, and also referred to by the acronym RAMBAM. I didn't know this, RAMBAM. I will refer to him thusly moving forward. Anyway, Rambam was a medieval Sephardic Jewish philosopher who became one of the most influential Torah scholars of the Middle Ages. He was also, back in the day, a preeminent astronomer and physician, making him a triple threat. Born in Cordoba, Spain, he died in Egypt on December 12th, 1204. That's my birthday. During his lifetime, most Jews greeted Maimonides' Rambam's writings on Jewish law and ethics with acclaim and gratitude, even as far away as Iraq and Yemen. He became a prominent philosopher and polymath in both the Jewish and Islamic worlds. So if there's a better canonical countdown of the 613 laws of God, I've yet to see it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And here we go, number 578, Deuteronomy 24:1, to issue a divorce by means of scroll. Well, of course, do things the legal way with documentation. The next set of laws concern the worker, and as we've already seen, many of the laws are about the welfare of widows, orphans, and the fair treatment of workers, which shows that even in the oldest of old-time religious days, there was a definite social divide of the very poor and destitute, the orphans and widows, and there was a working class, and then there was the wealthy leaders and the loaners, and the lenders who loaned to the workers and the widows. So here in Numbers 577, 76, and 575 from Deuteronomy 25 and 26, the worker must not eat while on hired time. The hired worker may eat from the unharvested crops where he works, and the worker must not take more than he can eat. So this is almost like the transcript from a labor management negotiation where management was like, no, the workers can starve, and maybe the workers were like, okay, we're not going to work for you then, and they came to an understanding. So the 613 laws of God shows a fight for a living wage right from the beginning. Number 574, Deuteronomy 23:24, to fulfill what was uttered and to do what was avowed. To fulfill what was uttered and to do what was avowed. So keep your word, your contracts. And similarly, number 573, Deuteronomy 23:22, not to withhold payment incurred by any vow. So pay your debts, particularly if it's a promise to God. Number 572, Deuteronomy 23:21. Lend to and borrow from idolaters with interest. Now I want to go back to the book for this to see what they mean exactly by idolaters. As we all know, different versions of Bibles have different interpretations for words. So some say strangers, and number 571, Deuteronomy 23:20, not to borrow with interest. And if you look closely, it's okay to lend to strangers with interest, but not to your own brother or neighbor, where you are sharing with them and not lending or borrowing.
The Stations of the Cross.
Number 570, Deuteronomy 23:19, not to offer animals bought with the wages of a harlot or the animal exchanged for a dog. And some interpret exchange for a dog as referring to the wage of a male prostitute. So during the temple cult period, I think you brought an animal that got sacrificed by the priests. You bought an animal that got sacrificed by the priests, and this was supposed to cleanse you of your sins. Again, it's interesting to note both male and female sex workers from the earliest times. Number 569, Deuteronomy 23:16. Not to have sexual relations with women not thus married. So that's pretty standard. Probably will run into that one again. I'm surprised it's only at 569. Number 568, not to wrong a slave who has come to Israel for refuge. And 567 is not to extradite a slave who fled to biblical Israel. That's a good one. It's almost like saying be kind to refugees. Very good. Number 565 and 566, prepare latrines outside the camps and prepare a shovel for each soldier to dig with. So God seems to be free associating a bit with the laws. Number 564, Deuteronomy 23:11. Impure people must not enter the temple mound area. Well, tell that to the Romans. Number 562, Deuteronomy 23:8 and 9. Not to refrain from letting a third generation Egyptian convert enter the assembly. And number 563, Deuteronomy 23:8 and 9. Not to refrain from letting a third generation Edomite convert enter the assembly. So I'm not sure about second generation. Number 560, Deuteronomy 23:4, not to let Moabite and Ammonite males marry into the Jewish people. Number 561 is Deuteronomy 23:7, not to offer peace to Ammon and Moab while besieging them. So the Moabites and the Ammonites were culturally pretty similar to the Hebrews, according to Wikipedia, and they all descended from Abraham, according to their myths. The gods were somewhat different, so I guess that was enough to go to war over the people that lived 40 or so miles away across the desert. Number 559, Deuteronomy 23:3, not to let a mamzer, a child born due to an illegal relationship, marry into the Jewish people. So mamzer, a child born to an illegal relationship. Maybe that's why Jesus never got married. And finally, for today, number 558, law number 558, Deuteronomy 23:2, not to let a eunuch marry into the Jewish people. Now that raises some interesting questions, like why would a eunuch want to get married in the first place. The actual verse reads, "No man whose testicles have been crushed or whose penis has been cut off may enter the Lord's assembly." And a little wiki research shows that eunuchs were well known in the royal courts around the area. Sort of like the guy from the Game of Thrones. What was his name? The guy that has little spies everywhere. If I guess if you're going to work around the king's harem, I guess you say goodbye to your testicles. And if that happens, don't expect to marry a nice Jewish girl. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode. See you later.